Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering Argentina, Messi. He's potentially a doubt for this quarterfinal versus Ecuador. We talk about that in Argentina's situation. Are they in trouble if Messi can't play? We talk about Portugal. If they want to go on a run to beat France and go on to win the Euros, can Ronaldo really be leading the line? We talk about what Euro quarterfinal matchups are most entertaining. We talk about which Copa America final matchups are most entertaining. And make sure you stick around for the end of the show, where I'll be giving you my thoughts on some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. Before we start off, I'd like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show, so to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the Tips and Donations link at gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. We start off with Argentina. Lionel Messi, it's looking like he might be a doubt for Argentina in this quarterfinal game coming up tomorrow. Obviously, that will be a big blow for Argentina, not being able to have their talisman, their 10, their captain, their leader in this game. He is a difference maker still, despite a rather slow start to Copa America. He is the difference maker for this Argentina team. He has the ability to find the pass that no one will even think about. Still in the final third, there's not many players that you would take over him even to this day, but he is doubtful. Not doubtful, but he's a doubt. Now, Argentinian manager Lionel Scaloni said that a Messi status. Who, by the way, Lionel Scaloni, he returns from suspension after being suspended for that final group stage game. He will be back. But Lionel Scaloni, he has said that Messi's status for the quarterfinal against Ecuador is unclear. He said the lineup will be determined after their evening training session that Messi was a part of. This is what he said. We will train in a couple of hours and then we will decide. One more day is always better. Yesterday we had good sensations and today we will decide. Based on today's answer, we will decide if Messi plays. He did not play in the final group stage match, as I previously said, as they went on to defeat Peru 2-0 because of a right leg injury that he suffered in the Chilean game. And at that point when it happened, his status was day-to-day, and he ended up returning to training a few days later. Scaloni also said, I haven't spoken with him about the situation. I will talk to him today, given it's match day -1. I thought it was fair that he will take his time and train as much as possible. After talking, we will decide. I haven't talked to him, so we don't know if he will play. It's never been the way. It alters when Leo doesn't play. It alters everyone, not just me. We'll try for him to be there, and if not, we will find the best for the team, his game by game, and the team will conform to the rival. He was able to train, Post that press conference, he was able to train. So it gives Argentina fans at least a little bit of some hope now. But it's still a murky situation. But if Messi is not playing for Argentina against Ecuador, that could be a big deal because Ecuador, in my opinion, is a team with the real quality. Going back and watching them at the 2022 World Cup, they have some serious players and they play really good football. They did not get out of that group, but they have some cracking. They played some cracking football, and they really should have. To be honest, if you look at the performances that they provided in their first two games, and in the third game they ended up losing to Senegal. In a game they didn't get dominated in, but lost on, a penalty and a set piece. But if it was hugely unlucky that they were not able to get out of that group. Very unlucky. So for me, this is a team with quality. Now since Felix Sanchez came in, on the back of what he did, he was able to do with the Qatari FA, winning them the AFCON. Ecuador, they've been iffy in World Cup qualifying. They lost to Argentina. That's been their only loss. But it's been they've been solid, and in these Copa America, they started off very shaky in the fact that they lost to Venezuela. A lot has to do with the fact that they suffered an early red card early in the game, which made it difficult, defending with 10 men for a very long stretch of the game. It was very similar to how it went on with the U.S. when they played Panama. Despite the red cards, both teams ended up scoring a goal shortly afterwards. Well, not that shortly for Ecuador. It was about 18 minutes afterwards. The U.S. one came almost immediately after the red card. But both teams were able to get a goal, but then they weren't able to hold on to their lead, and eventually the pressure just became too much, playing against 11 men, playing 10 against 11, playing down a man, and both teams ended up suffering in those situations. So the big point I was trying to make is, that opening loss to Venezuela, a lot of it is the red card. Let's be fair. Now Ecuador, once you get that lead, you have to be able to defend it for your life, especially with 10 men, but it's still difficult with 10 men in that situation. And then Ecuador were able to turn around in a Jamaica game that they had some good stretches of play. In that first half, played really well, and in that second half was a little timid. It was like Jamaica, they got themselves a foot in the game, and they really looked a threat to potentially find an equalizer. But then Ecuador were able to find the third. But honestly, based on that, based throughout the game, based on the first half, Ecuador were very impressive. But they did show vulnerabilities in the second half. And I have to say, in that Mexico game, yes, you're playing basically an away game with all the Mexican fans packing the University Phoenix Stadium. But, they were very lucky not to concede the goal. Because if Mexico had any sort of real cutting edge, any sort of quality in the final third, they would have found the ball in the back of the net, because the amount of chances, the amount of times they got the ball in good areas, in areas that they could be dangerous, that they just couldn't take advantage of because of quality. And Ecuador, they were defending for their lives, and I was rather disappointed with the performance because, in my opinion, I thought Ecuador was the better team. I thought they would have been able to out-football Mexico, but they were having to defend for their lives, and maybe they settled too much on the fact that they only needed a draw. And they decided, okay, we're not going to go out and try to win the game, which I guess ended up being the right approach, but it also became a dangerous approach. So, I'm looking at what they did the last World Cup and looking at what they've done since Felix Sanchez came in, and I'm iffy about this Ecuador team. By the way, Ecuador, they have some ridiculous record of not getting out of their Copa America group stage. Something ridiculous, I believe. And I think like the two out of, the few times that they did it happened to me in these combined Copa Americas. Whenever it's combined with North America, this one, they were able to get out in 2016, two of the group stages where they went on to lose to the U.S. actually in the game up north in Seattle, CenturyLink. They lost that game, I believe, 2-1 or 2-0, 2-0. This is a Ecuador team that traditionally does not have much success at Copa America, so you could understand the scenes after that game. But I think Ecuador definitely, they have proper footballing midfield. They have young guys also coming up ranks like Kennedy Paez, who scored that penalty in the Jamaican game. So they have quality there to really make Argentina, to give Argentina a question. Now the thing with Argentina now that you're playing without Messi, look, Argentina realistically they have a second team that can go out and compete with most of the teams at this tournament. They're just so good, Argentina, compared to the Mexicos, the Venezuelas, the Ecuadors, all that. They're really, Argentina is a really deep loaded team, but there are times that they do lack a little bit of that cutting edge, a little bit of that, being able to make that final play in the attacking third. And Messi has been a huge part of, not carrying, but basically carrying in terms of creation, in terms of creativity amongst the team. And if there is that lack of big creativity, I think Argentina will struggle to get that breakthrough moment. So for me, if Messi can't play, I think it becomes a whole different sort of game. Now, if Messi does play, I think Argentina are back to being their best, and I don't think Ecuador can do it. But if Messi can't play, I don't know. We might be seeing a shock exit from Argentina and really open up this tournament even more for some of the other nations in the other side, Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay. So, short break here coming up. When we come back, we will talk about Portugal and their chances to move on past France and beyond with the Ronaldo starting up top.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
For the break, we discussed Argentina being in trouble if Messi can't play in the Copa America quarterfinal. We move on to talk about Portugal. I'll ask the question that you see right there. If Portugal are going to go on to win the Euros, should Ronaldo be leading the line? $1 million question. Should Ronaldo be leading the line if Portugal are going to go on to win the European Championship? There's only one correct answer, and it rhymes with bo and mo and so and fo and lo and co and no and bo and no. Oh, I said it. No. Yeah, no. He did. Look, I don't want to get hate from these Ronaldo fans, but look, Ronaldo objectively has not had a horrible tournament by any stretch of the imagination. Yes, as a number 9, not getting any goals so far, that's one thing. But overall, this tournament has not been bad. But, Ronaldo's time to be presence as a box striker will work against the likes of Georgia, Turkey, Slovenia and all that. Even though it didn't work in that Slovenia game, that's when it'll work. Now, when you're playing teams that are going to have a lot of possession of the ball, that are comfortable on the ball, and you might need to play a little bit in transition, you need a striker that runs in behind. You need someone that will press and that will work hard and that will drop down and cover the holding midfielder to not allow the easy pass played into him. To do more roles than just be a box, typical finishing striker. When you need that kind of striker, Ronaldo at this day and age does not give you that. He does not cover that much space. He's one of the least covering space out of all the forwards so far at this European Championship. It's just not what he does at this day and age. Being aged, I believe, 39 or so. That's not what Ronaldo does. And look, I don't think it's fair to ask him to do that. We don't ask him to do that. But, you also see, he's trying to force a goal in that Slovenia game, taking free kicks from abysmal angles that should never been taking it. The constant free kicks he's taken, despite the fact that, he should not be taking, he takes, a few free kicks, doesn't work out okay, but there's other people in that Portugal team that has a wonder of a free kick on them. Why is he taking every single one from all different angles? Usually, certain angles belong to certain players on most teams. This dude, any free kick, it's his. It's clear. It's clear, it comes from a real lack of leadership amongst the manager, not being able to step up to him, being a yes man to him. And that's the only way why he survived 120 minutes in that game against Slovenia. Any player of his age should not go 120 minutes, especially Ronaldo, who, showing he's not where he used to be. That's just flat out. It is absolutely the flat out truth. There's no two ways about it. The levels are not there. Sometimes his touch is off. In this game against Slovenia, he had an opportunity where he got the ball and his touch just failed him completely. He had an opportunity where it was a wide open header. He just missed the ball. He's not at the level that he used to be. He really isn't. And it's just, again, it's a real lack of leadership and lack of guile from Roberto Martinez, who suffered from this at Belgium as well, where he was playing an Eden Hazard, who was, years past his prime when he played him in the 2022 World Cup. Almost 2 years since he really produced anything at that sort of level. Roberto Martinez is not that kind of big character that will make a move like that. That will, and maybe the leaders amongst the Portugal team, the Ruben Diaz's, have to, at least stand up to Ronaldo and say, okay, you can't take every single free kick. We gotta get one to go through. We need someone else to try it out. It takes leadership, at least amongst from the players, which I don't know. Is it really possible for Ruben Diaz or Bernardo Silva or, any of those caliber players to go, up to Ronaldo and say it? Are they really, is that really a possibility? Probably not. Because of, Ronaldo is Ronaldo. But at the same time, look, at the end of the day, Portugal's also, they're not at that level of a European Championship team. They've suffered a lot through England in terms of just poor performances. They had that performance against Turkey where covered up the cracks after that Czech game where the criticism was there just based on the way that they performed, despite they were able to nick out the result at the end. But when it comes to this Portugal team, there's a lot of possession, but no real cutting edge, no real verticality, despite all this possession, no real big chances created, no real sense of, oh yeah, they're about to score. No, like there's a lot of possession and a lot of moving the ball, but a lot of it is slow. None of it is a lot of it is going sideways and back. None of it is direct vertical going forward, hitting guys on diagonal. None of that. You know, a lot is just, you know, just wasting balls into the box that have no real, no real person to attack. Just in general, not an understanding of how they want to be able to get the breakthrough. And again, that also stems from the manager. We don't really see, the players don't really have an understanding of what are they trying to do to break down this defense. And, if you're struggling to break down the defenses of Czechia and Slovenia, how in the hell are you going to break down France? How are they gonna break down France's defense, who don't concede goals ever? They don't. I believe they have conceded no open goals this entire tournament. Let's go back. So France, they played Austria, they clean sheet in that game. They played Netherlands, clean sheet in that game. They played Poland, the one penalty there, and then round of 16, no goals. Yeah, they have not conceded a single goal. So if you're struggling to break down the defenses of Slovenia, how are you going to break down France's defense? And the more and more guys that you push forward to get the breakthrough, because I see that's what Portugal are going to do. They're going to deploy their fullbacks even higher. They're going to really take control of the ball, not create no real big chances, but start lumping them forward and try to get something going. And as soon as France recovers, France are going to pace them out the other way and potentially destroy them in the game of transition. I can see that happening. Now, these France attackers at the same time are in really, really bad form. And you know what they say about form? Form can make the great players look bad form can make the great players look ordinary. And despite the great array of talent amongst this France attack, they have looked woeful. And I talked about not scoring a single goal, not conceding the single non-penalty goal for France's defense at this European Championship. Well, France's attack has not scored a single goal at this European Championship besides an own goal or a penalty. Besides an own goal or a penalty, they have not scored a single goal in this tournament. So France are the better team. France have the more experience, and obviously I'm going to back France to win this game. I don't think it's particularly a debate in my head. But France do have their issues at the same time. But Portugal with Ronaldo, short answer, no, they're not going to they're not going to win the Euros with Ronaldo leading the line game in, game out. Because another big problem is Roberto Martinez. Okay, I talked about how he doesn't press Ronaldo. I talked about a lot of the issues, but a lot of the issues also come from Roberto Martinez. If it's 0-0, 60, 65th minute, you see it as an opportunity. You can see it as an opportunity to go win the game by bringing on a guy like Diogo Jota, and you think that's the right idea, but you don't want to do it because you don't want to upset Ronaldo. I'm afraid of that. That's going on here, and that's bad because, the European Championship, you don't want to waste an opportunity like this. Being in the quarterfinals, 3 games away from winning it all, you don't find yourselves in this kind of position much. I believe the last time Portugal reached the quarterfinals of the European Championship is when they won it in 2016. So, I believe that might be the only time that they reached quarterfinals in that's the last time they reached the quarterfinals in a major international tournament. Yeah, it will be, because in 2018 they got eliminated in the 16th. 2022 they got 2022 they made the quarterfinals actually. Yeah, 2022 they made the quarterfinals where they lost to Morocco. Yeah, because they beat Switzerland. But short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll rank which Euro quarterfinal matchups will be most entertaining.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
For the break, we talked about Portugal going on to win the Euros. If they can go on to win the Euros with Ronaldo leading the line, we move on to rank which Euro quarterfinal matchups will be most entertaining, as we will have some very entertaining matchups at the European Championship. I'm gonna start off with look. I say entertaining. I also mean, when I say entertaining, I'm including the combination of how tight the game will be, how fun the game is, how tight it will be, how big the game is. Not just necessarily like what's the biggest games, because obviously the biggest game is probably Spain, Germany, or either Portugal, France. But interestingly enough, those are the two games we get on Friday. And then the two games that come on Saturday will be England, Swiss, and Netherlands, Turkey. Okay, I'll go number 4. We're going to go from 4th, the least entertaining, to the best, or least looking forward to number 1. Netherlands, Turkey. Now, obviously, these are quarterfinal matchups, so we're looking forward to all of these games. But I think Netherlands, Turkey is also very exciting. But, I think it's last because I think there is a favorite in this, a clear favorite in this. I think there's a clear favorite in number 3 too, but it's if you look at it from the beginning of the tournament, it's shocking that I will be saying this. But in this one, Netherlands, Turkey, I think there is a clear favorite. No disrespect to Turkey, but I think Turkey rode their luck a little bit to get here. I thought in the group stages, the games that they won in that Georgia game on individual moments of brilliance, and then in that Czechia game, they won going up against a team with 10 men having to chase a win, while Turkey only needed a draw. And then in this game, 2 set pieces against Austria in the round of 16, gets them over the line. But it's a game that they were outplayed, and honestly, Austria were the better team. Turkey were just more clinical when the chances fell to them. But they're here now. They're in the quarterfinals. Reminiscent of them in the 2008, where they went on that crazy run, and now they have this opportunity in this game to reach a potential semifinal, going up against the Dutch. Big game, but I think Netherlands were able to kick it off to the next gear in the way that they handled Romania, and I think Netherlands will be able to keep that gear moving against Turkey. I think Netherlands are not going to make the individual defensive mistakes that Austria made on those set pieces. I think Netherlands defensively very, very strong. And then attack-wise, you have the likes of Gakpo, who's been very efficient, very clinical. Depay, his verticality. And then you get the verticality of whoever plays on that right-hand side, Bergwijn. He got his, I believe it was his first start against Romania, but then Daniel Malin were able to come in later, score 2 goals. And I liked that the fact that they played Bergwijn, Depay, Gakpo kind of as a front three, and let Xavi Simons play as that roamer behind them. Because I think that's where Xavi Simons is best. I don't like shoving Xavi Simons on a wing, on the right side, because that kind of limits his ability to be on the ball, and I want him on the ball as much as possible. So I think they find themselves a sort of formula. Maybe he brings in Malen back in there instead of Bergwijn, just based on what Malen was able to do in the closing stages of that match. But yeah, I think Netherlands have something that they're cooking up, and yeah, I think they're built to go on a run, potentially to the final, just based on the bracket that they're playing in. So yeah, I think Netherlands are the favorite in that. England's no, actually, okay, I know my number one, but number two, I'm gonna say number three actually is Portugal, France. Look, obviously Ronaldo going up against France. Ronaldo and Portugal going up against France. In theory, big game. But I'll tell you what, I don't think this game will be as entertaining as people will do. Because France, they're going to muck it up. They're going to play very, very tight, very compact. They're going to allow Portugal to be on the ball. And Portugal, when they get on the ball, they are such a slow, lethargic, no cutting edge, no real intent type of team. We saw that against Slovenia, saw that against Czechia. Both teams, not the best teams to watch in terms of entertainment value. And also, I don't think this game is that tight at all. I think France are the clear favorites. I think the way Portugal play just, falls into the France hands. It's exactly what France wants a team that can control, that is, France wants to give the other team the ball. They'll concede possession that Portugal will gladly take. But the problem is Portugal don't have that cutting edge to break down France. They don't have that real quality to break them down. And France, they live for playing against these sort of teams under Deschamps, where they would come in and try to control the ball. And France are going to do what they do best and play in transition and defend very, very well and rely on individual moments of brilliance from some of the brilliantly talented players that they have, not just in the starting 11, but in the squad in general. So I don't think this game is as close as what people see. When you see Portugal-France, wow, that is a big game. But, yeah, Portugal going home. Let's be real. Number 2, England-Switzerland. Honestly, for me, there is a clear favorite in this game. It's the Switzerland. When you look at the performances between these two teams, Switzerland have performed much better at this European Championship. If you see Switzerland, they have a pattern of play. They have a way they want to go about it. They have verticality with Ndoye, Vargas, Embolo. They have verticality. They have speed. They have ability. Individually, these players are not the players playing on these major clubs like England. They have nowhere near the level of squad of quality that this England team has. But there's a spirit of togetherness. They have a know-how. They have a coach that gets them playing better than the sum of their parts, who had major questions entering these European Championships, Murat Yakin. But boy, is he proving all those people that, we're writing the questions wrong. The way that they play, the attacking intent that they show, the way they want to go in and dominate a game and dominate it with the ball and be very direct, not direct in terms of long ball or anything, but be very vertical, make those runs in behind. Granit Xhaka being able to control the midfield, especially if you give him time to scan, he's gonna, take you apart. And I think England will get pinned back through through a lot of this game. Will get pinned back, and when England get pinned back, I think they'll really be able to struggle to play out of it. And because there is weaknesses in the Swiss team defensively. Fabian Schär, Ricardo Rodriguez, these are guys with lack of pace and with real verticality and real runs in behind them. You could take advantage of their lack of pace. But I predict Swiss is just going to have the ball so much and pin England so back that they will struggle to even play out, to find themselves an opportunity to play that ball in behind. I really do. I think I think England are in for a rude awakening, because the way that they performed over the first 4 games will not be good enough to play the Swiss. The England have to step it up. Now, they have the quality of players to do so, but from what we've seen this tournament, and even going back before the tournament with the Iceland game, it has not been good enough whatsoever. It's been very, very shockingly poor, honestly. Yeah, I think they can be in major trouble in the Swiss game. Number 1, Spain, Germany. Honestly, you could really say the final before the final. Whoever wins this game is going to be massive favorites to win the European Championship. I think Spain has been the best team in this tournament. I think out of the teams, I think Germany has been the second best team in this tournament. Both been very, very impressive. Reason why I have Spain ahead of Germany is, Germany shown a little bit of weakness in that Swiss game and in that Denmark game, where they were like a minute period from going down 1-0 to ended up going up 1-0 after 2 VAR calls. They've shown just a little bit of vulnerability that Spain just flat out have not shown at all throughout this entire European Championship, with the flexibility of playing direct and vertical and not being able to control possession, but still taking advantage, being clinical with their opportunities the way that they were against Croatia. And then they showed the rest of the tournament they still have the ability to dominate with the ball. And they're still a very, very good quality team. And this is the best Spain team since the team that won the 2 Euros and the World Cup, since that golden generation of Spain. I think this is the best team that we've seen since that team. So yeah, obviously it's a big game. Germany being the home team also adds to it, and yeah, wow, what a game. It's the game that we all, live for, these kind of games. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll move on to do this exact same sort of segment, but for the Copa America games coming up.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
It's time to rank which quarterfinal matchups will be most entertaining from Copa America. First of all, we gotta do like a little bit sad moments of silence for the U.S. and Mexico, but mostly the U.S. because we're all mostly U.S. soccer fans. I assume, actually, who knows? Yeah, there's probably a lot of Mexican fans in here too. This is America, but they're not in the Copa America quarterfinals through the lack of quality. If you look at Mexico, through the lack of leadership, the U.S., not just from coaching but from the federation. You could argue the same thing with the federation issues amongst Mexico. Yeah, it's just a sad time, very sad time, as these are two countries that are preparing to host the World Cup in 2026. And they pull off this complete and utter embarrassment. It's just disgusting. But let's move on to the Copa America quarterfinals. Okay, I know clearly what's my number one. Okay, 4, Colombia, Panama. Look, Panama did well for themselves to get here. They took advantage of a red card opportunity. They knocked out the U.S. But, yeah, this is where it ends for them. Clearly, the most one-sided quarterfinal. Colombia, they could probably put out a second team and beat Panama. No disrespect to Panama, but Panama are not at this quality. Panama are gonna sit in and observe and play in transition. As I fully expect them to. Even though I thought they performed pretty well against Bolivia, especially their response after going down. After Bolivia equalizing on them, which was a goal that could have potentially knocked them out. But then they were continuing to go on and go at it. I thought also in that Uruguay game, they showed some good signs. So I think they will be able to definitely keep it competitive with Colombia. I'm not saying they can't keep it competitive, but can they get it over the line? I don't think so. This Colombia team is 24-25 game unbeaten, and they continued that streak and won the group ahead of Brazil. By doing that, what can I say, bruh? They're clearly the better team over Panama. So yeah, I think that's the game that I'm least looking forward to. Number 3 will probably... Ooh, this is a good one. I'm gonna say Argentina, Ecuador. Because look, obviously this game has a lot more quality than the game I'm gonna say late on number 2. But this is a game that Argentina should win. Now, if Messi does not play, I might move this up higher on the list because I think it tips it even. I think Ecuador is also a very, very good team. Don't get me wrong. And I think this is a tight affair. I just don't think this is going to be as tight of an affair as what I have number 2. But Ecuador is a team with quality. But Ecuador is a team that's shown some bad signs in this Copa America. When you look at what they did in that second half against Jamaica, that second half against Mexico, having to be under pressure throughout, having to survive against a weak Mexico team, and if Mexico had any sort of real quality or any real cutting edge, they would probably be the team in this quarterfinal taking on Argentina. But we don't get that. We get Argentina, Ecuador. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting game. Ecuador has the quality to threaten Argentina. Don't get me wrong. But Argentina, these are the kind of ties that they win. I think Argentina are going to be sound defensively. Very, very sound. Don't give up much space. And find their opportunities to win on moments as they've done. I think Lionel Scaloni is in that sort of Deschamps fold as a manager. Deschamps, Lionel Scaloni. I think that's everything Gareth Southgate wants to be with England. Those kind of managers. Lionel Scaloni, he gets this team playing so well, and he gets the best out of the likes of McAllister, Rodrigo De Paul, all that. Yeah, I think Argentina will be able to get that over the line. Number 2, I say Venezuela, Canada, because this is a game that, in my opinion, very tight affair. Now, if you look at quality, obviously Canada got the better players amongst Jonathan David, Alphonso Davis, Kyle Larin, Buchanan, who is actually out now with the bad injury as well. Disappointing for him, and he's an important part of Canada. But still, there's still a lot of quality amongst this team. They play in transition. That's how they got the goal to beat Peru. But it's a team that's not had the best Copa America despite moving on. They've done the bare minimum, playing 90+ minutes against teams with red cards. Really taking advantage of 2 games where they played up a man for long stretches in the game. That got them the 4 points that were needed. But now they're in the quarterfinals. They're taking on a Venezuela team that is perfect. And despite the fact that they have more quality as a team than Venezuela, Venezuela's coming in with a lot more momentum, winning 3 games. But Venezuela, they are not this, they have 9 points, but they're not some world beater team. Amongst quality, they have some decent players, but no game-changing type of players. They still rely on a Salomon Rondon, who, we know from his days and playing in the Premier League. Nowadays, I believe he plays his club football in Qatar, I believe. Qatar? No, he actually plays in Mexico. Okay, plays his club football in Mexico, but he's still leading the line for them. But but no, it's very important for Canada to get this done, because you're not gonna get to play a team despite not winning the group, getting to play Venezuela. I think Canada would have took that. I think Jesse Marsh, this is where he can really prove the level he is. They've been really, really poor in the group stages, but they got it done. And if you get it done, no one cares about how poor you are. Nobody's talking about them being poor. Everyone is talking about them being in the quarterfinals, and now they have a chance against Venezuela to potentially open up a rematch of Argentina take care of business with them in the semifinal. That would be big for Canada. Move on to the final game, Uruguay-Brazil. No Vinicius Jr. here. Brazil really been suffering. Brazil had every opportunity not to play this game because they only needed to beat Colombia to get Panama instead. But Brazil weren't able to get it done to beat Colombia, and now they're rewarded by playing Uruguay. And Vinicius, he got that second yellow card in that tie with Colombia, so he's out for this game. Brazil, honestly, in big trouble. Uruguay, so good defensively. Don't give up much. Don't give up many good chances. And then in transition with the likes of Darwin Nunez, Pelestri, goes on and on. The midfield for Uruguay, some ball players and some grit in there with Ugarte, Valverde. There's some real grit amongst that team. I think De La Cruz also. He's a typical Uruguayan player, De La Cruz. A very typical Uruguayan player. Defensively with Araujo, Oliveira, Vina, Nandes, they don't give up much space. You got quality options off the bench like the Arrascaeta, who gives you a little bit of that 10, but that has a capacity of getting into the box and scoring a goal at the same time. Bentancur, Caceres, Jose Jimenez off the bench. There's depth amongst this team. With Brazil, there's no real fear factor with them anymore. They're not tidy enough in the final third. And there's no flair amongst this team of previous Brazils. So for me, this team might be in trouble. And with no Vinicius, who's, in the game that they showed us, good signs in Paraguay, he was the difference maker. He was the deadly man in that game. And now he's not even there. Look out. Brazil could be going home very early at this Copa America against Uruguay. But that is the number 1 game of this quarterfinals in the Copa America. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to the top headlines in the soccer world. we move on to react to the top headlines going on in the soccer world. So yeah, we talked about Messi. His training staff is uncertain for the Copa America quarter final. We talked about that earlier. Bayern have agreed a $56 million deal for Fulham's João Palhinha. It's a deal that's worth 56 million. I believe that's signed as euros, equivalent to $60.4 million. Bayern have agreed this deal with Fulham to sign him. It's a club record sale for Fulham. Palhinha, he's part of the Portugal team right now, so this is not going to be finalized until the Euros is over. But this is Bayern's. They've wanted this for a very long time now. There was a deal last summer that collapsed because Fulham couldn't find a replacement, but now it's happened. Palhinha, he had been given permission to fly to Germany to undergo a medical, to undergo a medical for Fulham, so they could call the deal off. But now it seems like he will get the move that he wants. Whenever he was speaking last weekend, Palhinha said, "As far as my future is concerned, both clubs know where I want to be in a month. I am currently concentrating on my work with my national team and on making history for my country." It's a good move for Bayern. They get that defensive midfielder that they crave. I don't know. This potentially, locks Kimmich in at that right back position now for Bayern, which which I don't know whether he had his reluctancies here and there not to go back, but under Thomas Tuchel, he's been a regular there. But there's also Kimmich. He's also been in transfer talk as well. So that's a whole topic for another day. Manchester United, they have made quarter of workforce redundant, which means they've deemed them no longer needed or useful, and they know they're not no longer employed no more. They informed the staff that almost 1/4 of the club's workforce, because they want the money to be used to improve the performances on the pitch. Their interim CEO Jean-Claude Blanc has came out and said this. Some of the staff have already been told that they're leaving, while others are set to figure out within this week. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he talked about this earlier. He was the one that wants this move to happen. This could see almost 250 of the as much as 250 of United's a little bit over 1K, about 1,100 staff depart. And Ratcliffe hopes this can save money, can save millions, and use this to improve the team and the facilities. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting that they deem this is the way to do it. I don't know the numbers in terms of normally how much a team should have amongst their workforce, but I don't know. It's for me it's kind of sad that United are letting 250 members just go. The Glacier Rail ownership, this is what they are. the club in itself, the core is rotten, and yeah, I don't know. I, I don't know what's the point in this, but apparently they think it's gonna help them. So, let them do them, I guess. Not much really going on. Not really much going on, honestly. The quarterfinals of both the European Championship and quarterfinals are gonna kick off within the next day or so. But apart from that, I mean, when it comes to international football, that usually takes away. Ooh, we could talk about some Olympic soccer. Some countries are announcing their squads. The Argentina, they announced their 18-man squad, which includes the likes of Julian Alvarez and Otamendi, who are some of the overage players on that team. So you can tell Argentina really going for it. Marta is in Brazil's squad for her 6th Olympics. This will be her final Olympics. She's in the 38-year-old striker's in the 18-player squad. She's she's one of the best players in women's history. She previously said that she's going to retire from international football after these Olympics. But yeah, the coach, Arthur Elias, said she brings a lot to the table. She's the greatest athlete of all time. She's playing well. She deserves to be on this list. Marta's performance, especially after she came back to play for her club, which is fighting for the top spot in the U.S., her behavior with or without the ball, makes all the athletes see her as an example. I have the challenge of finding a way of playing to maximize her game, but she knows you can only win at everyone. So it was heartwarming to see her still being involved, and hopefully she can go on to have a great Olympic Games. And if this is the end, what an end of not just amazing international career, but amazing career as a as a whole. Yeah, guys, bad cough day. Toni Kroos, the watch on him continues. We didn't talk about this much before that Denmark game, but now that they're playing Spain, I think it's time, really be alert, guys. Toni Kroos, he could be playing his last game ever in football. These are the last games that we will ever see Toni Kroos play. Each game could be his last. Let's appreciate the greatness of him, the quality of him, because we're not even gonna get to see, glimpses of him playing for the MLS or Saudi or anything like that in the lower end. No, he's simply retiring from football as a whole after this. So let's take it in while we can. Rabiot and Depay. There happen to be some free agents that are really making big waves at Euro 2024. You don't see free agents much, but it's good for them that they're able to, put on a good show at this European Championship, because they do need teams, and I'm interested to see what teams will sign them. Timothy Weah, he had a 2-game suspension after that red card, but there's not a second game that they have at this Copa America since they got eliminated in the group stages. So that second game will be the first leg of the CONCACAF Nations League quarterfinal in November. That will serve as the second match of his suspension for the punch that he had on Roderick Miller in the back of the head during the Copa America. Which still, a big blow that the U.S. had not made it. Apart from that, not really much going on. So thank y'all for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us. So please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool.